MSG Plus. Join Bill Pito along with Billy Jaffe, Ken Danico, and Ron Duguay for a complete breakdown of the local hockey scene. Plus, a trip around the NHL and more. It's Hockey Night Live, presented by Kia tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. on MSG Plus. Welcome back inside Madison Square Garden. Steve Gelbs with you here on the Rangers' second intermission report. Rangers and the Senators tied at 2 games apiece. And if you remember, it wasn't that long ago when the NHL ended their lockout. And when they did it, it was not ended officially. It was ended in principle, and there was a little bit of a waiting period before the official end of the lockout where the coaches still could not meet with their players. So what the Rangers did was they brought in the NYU hockey coach, Chris Cosentino, to work with the players a little bit in the interim before John Tortorella could get back with his squad. And Chris Cosentino, joins us on the air right now. Chris, thanks so much for being here. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, listen, before we get, I want to hear the whole story about how you got into working with the Rangers and how they chose you. But a little piece of trivia. I know you're only in your 3rd year at NYU. Do you know who the first ever goal scorer was for the NYU hockey program?
You know what? It's I got to check the record books, but Kenny Albert's been saying that he scored the first goal in NYU hockey history. You know, so we got to dust off the record books a little bit and check that out.
All right, so we don't fully believe him. It's a claim. That's what you're saying.
That's what he says.
All right, Kenny Albert says back when it was a club team, though, he says it wasn't quite what it was right now. But listen, with your team right now, I know that you guys just finished last weekend ago. Heartbreaking loss in the finals of regionals. Still, that being said, in the 3 years underneath your tutelage, this team has come a long way.
You know, it's been a great experience coming to NYU. We got a great group of student athletes that are getting the job done on and off the ice. You know, this past year we had 19 all-academic honorees. The boys are going out all the time, helping out in the community with community service stuff. So, the number one thing is that we've got great student athletes involved with our program, and we're a program that's well supported by the school. The on-ice success, I think we're still in the development stages of that, but this year we made some big strides, and we're definitely looking forward to the future. So it's definitely going to be a bright future for us.
Chris Cosentino, the head coach at NYU, in terms of the ice hockey team, joining us here on the second intermission report. Rangers and Senators tied at 2. Chris, what's the story here? So there's that interim period, and the Rangers choose you to work with them for a span of 3 days. How did that come about?
You know, I was actually at a 5-year-old birthday party, and my phone rings. And they said, Chris, would you be interested in coaching the Rangers this week before Torts can get back on the ice? And I thought it was actually one of my buddies, playing a prank on me, but it was real. And right away started the whole process of putting a game, practice plan together. It was incredible.
How did they choose you? Do you know?
You know what? I mean, I was fortunate enough to build a great relationship with Coach Tortorella through his dog walk, I guess some coaches' names are being thrown around, and I was just fortunate enough to be on that list there, and I was lucky enough to get my phone call, get the call there.
When you do get the call and the shock kind of wears off that all of a sudden you're going to be working with an NHL hockey team, what was the approach that you took? Did you talk to the coaches beforehand, or did you have an idea of what you wanted to do going into these days?
Yeah, the little conversation I had with Coach Tortorella, he said, he goes, listen, I've got full trust in you, I know you're going to do right by my guys, and he said, listen, just be confident out there. He's like, I know you're going to do a great job, and because he couldn't have any real conversation with the team, so he put that confidence in me, and I think that kind of led the way for me to just go out and just run practice just like it was any other day. But it's a little bit different when you got boys like Rick Nash out there, running your drills. But it was definitely a special experience for me. One I'll never forget.
Chris Cosentino, the head coach of NYU Ice Hockey, joining us here on the Rangers Intermission Report. Cosentino worked with the New York Rangers in the interim between the end of the lockout in terms of agreed in principle and the end of the lockout officially. You can be honest with us. Who was dogging it? That's what we want to know. Who was dogging
during the practice?
During the practice.
I'll tell you right now, that's probably the number one thing that I took from it. These guys were ready to go. Yeah. It was such a treat to just see professionals at work. And that was probably the biggest thing I took back to NYU, to my team. I mean, these guys were ready to go. They were fired up, and I'm sure some of that had to do with the layoff. But these guys are such professionals, and the coaching staff, with the Rangers, with Coach Tortorella and Coach Sullivan. I mean, they have these guys ready to go, and it's a great group of guys. That made it a lot easier for me. Guys like Callahan and Richards. They made me made it real comfortable for me to go out there and just do my thing. And it was something I'll definitely never forget.
And I know they presented you with a signed jersey at the end of everything, signed by the entire team. What was that like?
that was incredible. You know, I mean, it was just on that last day, I was just ready to just go off into the sunset there, but they called me back into the locker room and they presented the jersey to me. So it was special. It was special. I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity, and I was just happy to help.
And you mentioned earlier the relationship you formed with Coach Tortorella during that New York Rangers dog walk at Riverside Park, the first annual one a few months back. Tortorella returning the favor, and he came and talked to your boys, didn't he?
He did. It was a real special moment for our program, I think Coach Tortorella has definitely made an impact on me and the way I coach. And, to have him come in and really explain, the way he manages his players, it wasn't too much about X's and O's, but it was more about, the values of being a good hockey player and the expectations that coaches have in their players. But yeah, it was such a great, learning experience for our guys, and hopefully that's something we can keep going to the forward.
Now, what you did for the Rangers a few months back, that's not your only connection to this organization. You actually played high school hockey with Matt Gilroy. You were a senior. He was a freshman at St. Mary's. At that time, did you have any idea that he would be playing at the NHL level one day?
It's you look back on it, and Matty was definitely not as big as he is now. But he was a quiet kid, and just went about his business and worked his tail off every day. And, I guess you can never really, expect someone to make it to the NHL. But, you're looking back on it, he's someone that approached it the right way, and he definitely deserves everything he's received.
Chris Cosentino, head coach at NYU Hockey, thank you so much for the time. And, hey, listen, you're now a little bit, at least, to the Rangers' success here moving forward.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, let's pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves.